What is happening, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Rip the Net. Thank you so much for tuning back in. As always, make sure to give us a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. We're in it deep, man. This is our 12th episode, man. So, Dre, how you feeling?
I'm guess, we're keeping it consistent. We're becoming more of, the content creators. It started out, we were just kind of testing out the waters, but I feel like now we're really getting into a groove. And we know we're doing the housekeeping early. That would be the fastest we've ever done it. So, like you said, please subscribe, like it up. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 12 episodes in, man. That's 3 months, man. That's huge, man. That's huge. So
That is crazy, yeah.
we're on the move. So, like I said, thank y'all for tuning in. We're recording this the week of April 7th. So, to anyone watching the NCAA final, hope you tune in. I'm super excited to be tuning in later tonight. And congrats to the UConn's women's basketball team. Shout out Paige Becker. Shout out all of them. I know we've been talking a little bit about, how much we've been tuning into March Madness.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I never got into college sports, which is, I guess it's not that crazy, but I feel like in America especially, we have a big college sports culture, especially football. Like college football is arguably like more fervent of a fan base than NFL football. So there's definitely something there. But even college basketball, like I never got into it. I don't know why. I think it's because it's harder for me to attach myself to a team. Like I like to root for my team, and I follow the rest of the sport too. But like with college sports, it's like, are you just gonna root for your team, like the college you went to, if you went to a college? And then like obviously not everyone goes to a D1 basketball or football school. So like, okay, you're just gonna root for some random college. But then I'm like, but then also there's a quick turnaround with like these players who might just be one and done, or at least they're gonna be gone in 4 years. So it's harder to get attached, I feel like, to a program, unless maybe it's like a program that has a long-term coach like UConn women's do. So I don't know. College sports would never really appeal to me, but I'm sure I get why people get into it, because then you get the inside scoop on like who's next up, or who's going to go into the league, and who's going to potentially turn out to be a good player, or maybe they flop. You never know.
Nah, for sure. Last thing I will say about this weekend, it was just an amazing Final Four that we got to witness. Auburn and Florida came down to the wire, and then Duke versus Houston, man, a back and forth game the entire game as well, but there was a huge comeback at the end. So I recommend anyone who may be wondering what the hype is when it comes to college basketball to just tune into that game. Duke in Houston was such an emotional roller coaster. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Tune in for sure, because it was an amazing night of basketball. So, shifting gears into the NBA world, we're going to talk a little bit about Ja Morant, man. And I hate to beat a dead horse. I am usually not one to jump on the criticism of a player when the whole world has turned against him. But I will say, this latest incident, with good reason, has not been as covered. It's just been a fine. But what happened was Ja Morant was fined $75,000 for making a gun gesture during the Memphis Grizzlies matchup with the Miami Heat. Prior to that game, he had done the same gesture to the Golden State Warriors during a game, and he received a warning from the office, and so he just went ahead and did the gesture again against the Heat. I guess knowing that he would get fined, I guess this goes to show that he doesn't care. So I guess there's that. But man, Ja Morant just can't stay out of this like image that he's creating for himself. So wanted to know, what are your thoughts? Do you have any feelings? Do you think this is all blown out of proportion? What are you thinking?
This guy, man, this guy. It's such a shame. it's not even like it's the end of the world because obviously he's still in the league. Like it's just a fine. He's gonna go on to continue playing. I'm sure they'll. And he's still a great player. But I feel like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was like everyone's so excited for Ja Morant. He's this crazy talent, explosive athlete. Like this is the kind of player that fans and even like neutral fans is like this is not even your team, but you like this guy because he's just fun to watch. That's the kind of player you like. Kind of players I like especially. But he's just like it's just a bunch of unforced errors for him, I feel like. And he's just now taking on this persona that feels unnecessary. Like you are already cool. You're already like I'm sure some people had a problem with that Grizzlies team that were like kind of always kind of felt like this cold click kind of thing. But I think for especially if you're a Grizzlies fan, you probably loved it. And I think that's what you want. You want a team to root against or a team to love if that's your team. But it's just gone too far where it's like now you're being more known for like being a troublemaker than your game. And once you get to that point, then it kind of gets to a point where like, okay, I can't defend this guy. Where it's like you got a warning, the league let you off, especially given your history. The league let you off really with that warning. I assume because also Buddy Hield was involved, so like, okay, we'll just call it even. For you to go and do that the next game, it's like, okay, now you're just asking Adam Silver to make an example out of you, which is crazy because he already made an example out of you years ago, and now he's trying to play this whole victim card thing. Like, no one's forcing you to do these things. Like, you can just play your basketball, you can have fun, you can still do like hip hop related things on social media, whatever, but just leave the guns out of it. Like, it's not that deep, bro. You don't have to do gun related stuff. And I think from the NBA perspective, if you don't want the gun stuff, then make an official rule about the gun stuff. Then make that a thing rather than just like a warning and then now a fine. Like, just make that, okay, no gun gestures, cut it out, and then we can move forward from there. But still, for Ja Morant specifically, you should know better at this point. Like, I just can't defend this. It's actually really upsetting.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it's like, I don't know if you were ever in school and then that kid who would always get sent to like in-school suspension, or like that kid who would always get sent to the principal's office. And they got to a point where you're just like, yo, like there is no need, like there is no need to try. It's like, is it like looking for attention because he knows it's gonna be in the headlines, right? He knows that people are gonna be talking about it. The place where I'm confused is like, you are a Nike athlete, and I know this has nothing to do with basketball, but you have a huge sponsorship that has to be doing a lot for you financially. You have your own signature shoe. You're doing well for yourself. You've made your money, right? I got to give you that. You've made your money. But I'm just confused as to why you would even entertain the idea of compromising or putting the bag that you have received through your sponsorships, through your NBA contract at risk. And again, this is just an in-game gesture, like you said. This is not like what he was in the news for a few years back when he was out actually posting actual guns on his story and, I guess going on that Instagram world tour. But I still just don't understand it. Like, why are you really trying to maintain that image? And it's an image that a lot of people don't believe, it's people taking deep dives into his upbringing, into his life, and people see you as a little bit of a fraud. So like, if you're really just trying to look cool, like, I think it's all in vain because everybody really knows, one, how you came up, and two, the fact that you are a multi-million-dollar businessman and athlete. Like, this is not for, I don't know, all for the sake of an image that like people are already going to be able to look through or see through. I just don't get it. And I'm with you as well. Like, I was one of those people who was very excited for Morant when he started popping off. I believe it was like 2022. Yeah, like around that time, team with Dylan Brooks. That was just like a really fun team, and people looked at them like a team full of villains. But it was a fun team to see pop off in the playoffs. But to now see Morant's been in trade rumors as well, so it's like his current future on the Grizzlies, I think, is a little bit uncertain. Looks like I've heard rumblings of the team wanting to move forward with Jaren Jackson Jr. as a centerpiece of their franchise, which I think is confusing, but I guess, again, the Grizzlies know more than we do. But it's just sad to see, because I really was excited for what he would bring to the league, and there's still opportunity for him to grow up and do that. He's very young, but it looks like, hey, like you said, Adam Silver already made an example out of you, and you just seem to not care. So the punishment's only going to get harsher if you keep entertaining it. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, and I think too, like, if you want to be like some hard man who's out in the streets and is rapping or whatever, just go be a rapper, bro. It seems like you care more about like that side of the culture than the actual sports side. If that's really that important to you to be able to do all this stuff, then just go be a rapper. You have a following now. You can go out there. You can probably make some songs. It's probably not going to be that good, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if he became a rapper after he retired. But like, if you want to be Jello instead of LaMelo, be my guest, bro. Be my guest. But I'd rather be LaMelo. So personally, I think you should just stick with your basketball and take it as far as you can go, because your talent is up there. But now, like, from where he was, like you said, like 2022, that era, people don't look at him the same way anymore, which is unfortunate. Like, I feel like people were, especially because Zion was the hype one coming out of college, and then Ja, part of that is through Zion's injuries and all that kind of stuff. Ja exploded and took over, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Ja Morant was actually really the exciting one to come out of that class." And now it's like no one cares about either of them, which is the crazy part. Like, people are more interested in this new crop of players, and people like LaMelo, obviously, and Edwards. Like, Edwards I think he is what people thought Ja would be, where like everyone likes him and he can be his own person, but he doesn't have to do all this extra stuff.
100%, man. Time will tell. We'll see how things kind of turn out. He still has the possibility to have a legendary career, and I wish him nothing but that. But we'll see how things continue to unfold for sure. But listen, man, let's switch gears real quick. Let's talk Champions League. Dre?
A massive result today in the Champions League. Arsenal defeating Real Madrid 3-0. So we had to hop on, get you guys this quick reaction for this week's podcast. Crazy result. You know, we did our predictions. I actually believe none of us predicted Arsenal to go through. I think even I remember Eric saying, "Oh, we should count down 3, 2, 1, all say Madrid." Like, we were joking on Arsenal's name. I can't even lie. So, you know, apologies. I was not familiar with your game, but you guys actually watched this full game live. So I'll jump to you guys. What do you guys think? Any first impressions of this game? Obviously, crazy stuff happened. What do you guys think?
It was really disappointing to see Real Madrid play like that, bro. They were not it. They were not having good chances, and they were just getting torn apart by Arsenal. It just felt like Arsenal, it was easy for them. It felt like they were playing against like Crystal Palace or something, man. It did not seem like a team with Vinny, with Rodrigo, Bellingham, and Mbappe. Like, you didn't see performances from anyone on that team that really stood out other than Courtois. He was the only one who was like putting in work, and it's a shock that this game was not like 5 or 6-0. Like, it was crazy. So I think I also got to give credit to Arsenal in that they played incredibly well. Declan Rice scoring 2 of maybe the best free kicks I've seen in maybe forever in my paying attention to soccer and watching it. I mean, they literally couldn't be better. They literally, his second free kick especially was like literally top right corner bins, like could not be further in that corner. So I was very impressed watching them, and it's going to be really tough for Madrid to come back in the second leg. Anything is possible. Madrid has defied the odds before, but this one's going to be tough. I think mentally, especially. So, anyways, Arsenal, though, they deserved that win. It was a really great game to watch, to see them and their play. And it mentally brought me back to the Prem, and just I wish there was more of a title race this season to see what this team could do against Liverpool if things were closer. But it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Yeah, I mean, Real looked pretty discombobulated. The funny thing is, like, if you look on paper, it's not like the stats will say that it was a lopsided game, but if you were watching it, you could see that Madrid was just out of sync. But if you just look at it, 12 shots to 9, 11 on target to 3, that's crazy. But like possession, 54 to 46, these are all in favor of Arsenal, by the way. So it's just like, it's wild to see just how on point they were. Definitely agree with you that this could have been there could have been more goals scored by Arsenal, but all of the 2 free kicks that you mentioned, screamers, man, insane, bro. Like this is why I love the Champions League, because it's just like every game is huge, every game is exciting, and when you get a game like this where the underdog, and it's interesting to call Arsenal an underdog considering, like you said, how well they've been playing, but this is Madrid. This is my pick to win the entire tournament, right? And I am not going to write them off just yet. I could be wrong, but I feel like we're in for a very exciting second leg. And I think Real can still do it. This is going to be a very tough game to bounce back from, but I think it's well within their ability to do it, and they'll be home, so they'll have the opportunity to do that. So I am curious to see how that will unfold, but I'm not going to write them off just yet. But today, man, you got to really look in the mirror and say you guys gotta figure it out, because they got punched in the mouth today, and it showed. And like I said, very lopsided. And I even expected them towards the end to at least score something. I was like, I am not a Real fan by any means, but I wanted to see them fight back a little bit, and to see that it just ended in 3-0, like that being the final score, very, very concerning. But yeah, 3 beautiful goals, no complaints on that part. Very entertaining game, I will say.
It's fascinating seeing Arsenal be this good, and I wouldn't even say they're full strength.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no Gabriel. Saka only came back like a week and a half ago. When we recorded our predictions, he was still injured, and he only, I think, made his first appearance right after we recorded that. So now our predictions look crazy. I actually put a comment on that video saying, we didn't know Saka would be back.
Who knows how long he'll last, though, bro? He was limping off the field again.
The classic Saka limp, bro. The goated Saka limp. No Havertz either. I know people aren't that excited about Havertz in general, but they're forced to play a central midfielder and Marino up top. It is something that you have to think about. Kivior, who isn't the best center back, playing in there, locking up Mbappe. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Kivior go out the door this summer for Arsenal. So this really, Miles Lewis-Skelly, an 18-year-old playing left back with an assist, locking up Rodrigo. Like, fair play to them. I always thought they'd be a better cup team than league team because of their set piece dark arts they have. They love showing that set piece coach. They fiend for that dude, but this was beyond my expectations for sure. And like you said, Eric, it would take some magic. It would take probably one of the greatest Champions League nights we've seen in history, or at least in recent history, for Madrid to come back from this, because Arsenal don't really concede more than 2 goals often. Like, I can't remember them really taking large defeats recently. They've become pretty solid defensively, especially in the Prem. They're one of the best defensive teams, if not the best defensive team in the Prem. So for Madrid to score 3 on them and to also stop Arsenal from scoring, it's looking spooky, and it's also looking really spooky for Carlo Ancelotti, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This guy, with the amount of talent this team has, this has to be one of the poorest coaching performances I've seen. Not just this game, like this whole season. Obviously, they're technically still up for trouble. You know, we're not expecting them like to get through this, but I still say Barcelona is the better team. But with this amount of talent, like this team should be so much better than they are. They're getting through purely off the name value of these players. But Vinny, fraud watch. Mbappe, fraud watch. Rodrigo, you know, you've been lucky. People don't really talk about you. They don't praise you enough. Also, low key, you got to get the smoke too, bro. You're looking sus. You're looking like a fraud right now. Like Jude, I don't want anyone to tell me Jude's better than Pedri, bro. Don't tell me Jude's better than Pedri again. I don't want to hear. He has to prove that. I know they won the Champions League last year, whatever. But you're getting ran through. Like pause, but really no pause. Like you're really getting ran through right now. Like also starting Modric. I know they have a lot of injuries. Like it's not looking good for them. They have Alaba starting at left back, Valverde starting at right back. They have to start a damn near 40-year-old in midfield and Modric. This is not the team to do that against, though. You have younger legs you can bring in, like Brahim Diaz or like Arda Güler or something. Like you shouldn't be doing this against Arsenal, which is probably the most athletic team in the Prem. Like if they're anything, Newcastle are pretty athletic too, but Arsenal have gone way further in the athlete direction than technical player direction recently. They have a lot of big, strong, fast dudes who will just run through you just with pure athleticism. This was not the game for Modric. I don't know. Ancelotti, if he's there through the summer, I will be shocked. I will honestly be shocked. It was not a good performance at all. And if they pull it back in the second leg, then Arteta, you're on watch next, bro. This summer, if you throw away this lead, I think I saw a quote. I don't know if this is actually true or not. I think he said something like, with the lead they're going to the Bernabeu with, like they'll park a plane if they need to get through that game. So fair play. He knows the mission. But yeah, sensational performance. Fair play, Arsenal. Declan Rice. I think I said this to Alexi earlier, but this is like a performance. If they go on, even if they don't end up winning the whole thing, but like if he goes on to stay with Arsenal for years and become a really big player in their history, this is the type of performance that fans will remember as like, this is what made you a club legend. Like that's actually putting the team on your back. Even though it was a good performance in general from the team, like scoring 2 individual goals like that, that's something that fans will remember forever. So fair play. You're starting to justify that 100 million price tag, and that's hard to do. But that's like that kind of performance for me. So fair play. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add on this game.
No, yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, those free kicks, magical. That's I'm sure they're going to be nominated for the Puskas Award this year or something, because you don't see something like that often, especially in the game with those stakes and against a team like Real Madrid. So just Declan Rice, round of applause to you.
Fair play, man. Although Cole Palmer's called a crazy free kick earlier this season, but you know. I think that was against like.
Yeah, but was that in the Champions League?
Yeah, that's not important. It was from further away, I think. Anyway, we'll move on. But Courtois, yeah, like you said, Courtois, crazy saves from what I've seen. Like he was going crazy. But I do want to mention though, end of the game, Camavinga with a very unnecessary second yellow to go with a red. I think he just lost his head, kicked away the ball, and going into the next leg without him, especially already being down midfielders, so they're probably gonna have to start Modric again.
Really stupid.
I don't know.
Really
it's
stupid.
looking even spookier. Yeah, like that's like you
like
gotta
with
get
the
it together.
stakes too. I mean, knowing you're already down 3-0, you're not coming back. You're not scoring a goal that late in the game with how they're playing. I mean, you got to be smarter. You have to be.
Yeah. Like mentally, you have to like say, okay, we're putting everything into the second leg. Let's just get through, see out the rest of the game. Don't concede again, and we put everything into the second leg. But you're not going to be there, buddy. Which is a shame to say. I actually really like Camavinga, but it's a shame. But if they pull this out, like we said, it'll be crazy. But if there's nothing else on this game, we can move on to the other game from today, the other quarterfinal matchup, which was Inter Milan. That's not Italian accent at all, but versus Bayern Munich. end-to-end action, great game. We won't spend too much time on this one because I know I'm the only one who watched this game, but this game was really, really fun, really fascinating. Inter, I've been saying it since the beginning. Barcelona are my pick to win, but Inter are a sneakily good team, especially for cup competitions, knockout football. The way they play, you would think Bayern dominated this game, and technically, on the stats, more possession, more shots on target, whatever. But they're just playing into Inter's hands. This is what Inter want to do, and the goals were great. Especially the first one. The second one was like a little just hit him on the break, scrappy kind of one. But the first goal was Marcus Thuram. He's like, the ball gets played into him from the left. He does a little touch back heel, very soft touch to Lautaro Martinez, who's coming in from behind, and he hits it like Travella. First time into it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. Like those two, their chemistry is crazy. I don't know how Inter got Thuram on a free. Like I would have loved a striker like that at Chelsea. And I'm sure you would have loved a striker like that at Man U. But I don't think it's rare. I feel like in 2025 to see a team starting two strikers, like having like a striker partnership. I feel like so many teams have moved. That was like more of like a 2000s, early 2010s kind of thing. I feel like so many teams moved toward the striker, two wingers, or some other kind of setup like that. So it's actually really fun seeing a striker partnership in 2025 be so fluid. Bayern. Ooh, oh boy. It's still doable to give it to them. It's still doable. 2-1 is not the craziest scoreline, but they were at home. So to lose at home against Inter, who can go and park that bus back in, I think, the San Siro, their stadium. I don't know. I don't know if Bayern's actually going to get it done. I don't know about that one. Harry Kane. Oh, brother. I don't know if you guys seen this, but that dude whipped a sitter off the post, bro. It's just
hey, man,
it's a shame.
That plays into the larger narrative I've been saying about Harry Kane, man. Definitely overhyped, and a big portion of that I'm willing to say is because he's the British bloke from Tottenham, British ground. He's gonna help us take it home. Like, nah, he not all that in these moments. He wasn't with Tottenham, and even at Bayern, it hasn't been perfect. And that clearly is the case right now in a game like this with pressure like this.
For sure. Like, those are the moments that make the difference. I'm sure they're going to go on to win the Bundesliga, but like a moment like that, people remember, especially if you're known for being a loser. No disrespect. Obviously, he's still a great striker and he has all the goals, whatever, but you're known for not getting the job done in the biggest moments. Having another one on a stage like this, of course, if he goes on, he could bag a hat trick in the second leg and then everyone's going to forget. So whatever. Then maybe this is irrelevant in a week. But as of right now, that's not something you should be doing, especially when across the aisle you have a guy like Lautaro Martinez, who is constantly getting dogged on for being this, he doesn't show up in the big moments type striker. But really, over the last year and a half, 2 years, this dude has been playing lights out. He's been one of the sneakily best strikers in Europe. Won a World Cup, Copa Americas, Copa Italias, I'm pretty sure, Serie A's, whatever, everything. This dude's winning everything. And who's to tell me? I know people aren't going to like it because, like you said, I feel like when you're English, you get a little bias. And you also maybe get more criticism too. But who's to tell me Lautaro Martinez is not a better striker than Harry Kane? I don't think it's clear cut. Yeah, I honestly don't think it's clear cut. You can say one way or another. That's something that could be discussed. I'm not saying it's one way or the other, but I think if you're going to say definitively Harry Kane's better, I think that's probably one going on history, but also a bit of an English bias. So I don't know. That game was also really fascinating. I'll definitely be checking out the second leg. Although I do want to keep an eye on this Madrid Arsenal second leg as well. I know you guys didn't check this one out, so I won't force you guys to add anything onto this one. But yeah, we'll transition into our next topic, which is the KDB news. So big news in the world of the Premier League. One of the, in my opinion, greats of the Premier League era, Kevin De Bruyne, announced on his own Twitter that he will be leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. First of all, I want to say I appreciate that he announced it himself. It didn't get leaked or like reported on by Fabrizio or any other reporter. He got to say it on his own terms. I actually really appreciate that for once. But yeah, he'll be leaving at the end of the season. I think he's out of contract, so we'll be on a free. But I think for a player of his legend, you just let him go out on his own terms. I think even if he wanted to say like extend for a 1-year contract, I think Man City would have also rewarded that because there's a certain level of respect there. But I have a lot of opinions on Kevin De Bruyne. Most positive, almost all positive. But before I go on my Glaze Fest, how does this feel for you, Alexi? I know you're probably number one Man City hater, but
hey, man. All I'm saying is the better midfielder is staying in the league and going to continue to fight, and that is Bruno Fernandes. But, Kevin De Bruyne's leaving, I will admit he left a mark on the league, left a huge legacy for Man City. If I can admit one thing, he was the key to their success. I don't think anything they achieved would have happened without having him perform the way he did. But I'm all here for the City downfall, so I'm very happy.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you could at least admit that, because that beginning to it was absolute blasphemy. No way in hell I'm gonna let you get off on this podcast that Bruno is better than KDB. But we're here to celebrate a Premier League great, so I'm not gonna get baited into that. But yeah, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, I was gonna list off all his accolades. Just honestly, too many to even count. But the most important ones here is that he has 6 Premier League titles to his name, and obviously they won the Champions League. He's part of a treble-winning team, a team that went 4 in a row with the Premier League as well. Just ridiculous. And obviously, I think 2-time Player of the Year winner in the Prem. He did great things before that with Wolfsburg. At one point in time, he was a Chelsea player, and biggest fumble of the last decade for us. Other than maybe Mohamed Salah, we also had at one point in time, but we're not going to talk about that.
I was about to say. The two teams that have won the league pretty much in recent history.
Imagine if we had both of them, bro. We would have been crazy. And then we got Conte, and I didn't want to get into it.
Said you got Jadon Sancho, man.
Okay, but yeah, something I just wanted to discuss about De Bruyne. I know we're going to talk a little bit about maybe his future, and we can save that for the end. But for his time in the league, for me, honestly, and I think this is something I want to get into with you. He's probably, and I will say there's bias. He's probably my number 2 all-time favorite player. But in the Premier League, I think he's the best player the Premier League has seen over the last decade. I think there's maybe some debate here and there, but I'd be hard-pressed to say there's anyone definitively better than him over the last 10 years and he signed for City in 2015, so pretty much exactly 10 years that he's been in the Prem. I think there's some overlap with some other great players, but over that 10-year span, I probably have De Bruyne number 1 in the Prem. And I also think he's the best creator the Prem has ever seen. For me, probably even the best midfielder the Prem has ever seen. I think obviously there's debates there for sure. Obviously Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, all these other people. I'd put Conte up there. But I think he's definitely top 3. And he's definitely the best attacking mid the Prem has ever seen, in my opinion, because those other guys are more, they were playing more in 2 midfield systems, so it's a bit different. And Conte's obviously a defensive mid. But I don't know. For me, like you said, over this dominant City run, he is definitively the best player, the most important player. And I think people, even anyone who tries to undermine City or undermine, or might not want to admit that, when they talk about Pep, they'll be like, oh, Pep had all these great players like De Bruyne or whatever, whoever else. Or if you talk about Haaland, they'll say, oh, Haaland's good, but like he's only really that good when De Bruyne is giving him service. Like De Bruyne is the common denominator through all these things. So I think it's hard to not give him the credit as like that guy, for me anyway. But what do you think?
No, I mean, I really hate to be saying this and having this conversation, but you know, the stats do not lie. The creativity has always been there, and I think also the past 10 years we've had some really interesting midfielders and some creative midfielders and ones who have left marks in their own ways, even if their teams haven't gone on to be successful. But it's the fact that he has been so consistent in City winning what they have that has really made him stand out. So even though I personally, you know, Bruno's my number one, the team was not on that same level with Man U. So even with his level of talent and creativity, you can't carry. But De Bruyne had a team where they were capable enough with Pep's system to cook with what they had. So yeah, I unfortunately I do have I think it is a top 3 discussion, but I will leave a little footnote. You know, whenever we learn what these 115 charges plus are going to lead to with City and their legacy, that is going to also go directly to De Bruyne and his legacy.
I disagree.
I think like it's unfortunate. Like you won't be able to doubt his talent and performance, but there will always be that mark of, you know, how that talent was able to be used with a team like that.
I'd say there are other players where I could see that argument, but I think because he was so instrumental, and like even like beyond the stat, just like the eye test, like what he was doing on the field, like this dude made Raheem Sterling, I hate when people say Raheem, but Raheem Sterling, a Premier League great. It's off of like his balls to that back post where Raheem Sterling just has to be there and like let it hit his body and it'll go in. I think that is the most lethal ball I've ever seen. Like that KDB ball to the back post from the right side. And Raheem Sterling is notably terrible finisher, has a lot of goals off of that. So I think someone like Sterling, where I'm like, I don't know, the charges, then I could see that argument. But I think KDB, his like, the fact that he put the team on his back, even a team that good, in certain scenarios, like I saw over the weekend, apparently he's like the Prem player with the most goals and assists in the Champions League knockout stages. Like that's crazy. From a midfield, that's crazy. Like tied for the most man of the match awards in the Champions League with Xavi of all time, and he did it in fewer games. Like these kind of things. First of all, they don't happen to Prem players that often, because usually when you're talking Champions League, you're talking about Barcelona and Real Madrid, and mainly Real Madrid. But De Bruyne, I think, was always on that level. And to me, like 2 20 assist seasons also, and before that, I think he's the first player to do 2 20 assist seasons. It's just things that have just never been done before. And I don't know. I think further down the line, people are going to look back and appreciate him even more. I think even if the charges happen, I think because we're in the moment, like people want to look back and they'll say, oh, there's no way he touches Scholes, there's no way he touches Gerrard or Lampard or any of these players. But I think after time has appreciated him, he'll be up there. And I think even right now, a lot of people probably consider him up there. But I think with more time, he'll be more appreciated for what he did for the league. Because especially with the system football that we see these days, like creative players like him who are willing to play that final ball, I feel like they're less and less common. I feel like more players are just, once they get in those areas, they're like, oh, I'll pass it back, and then we'll just pass around, try to find like some player just to make a mistake. Well, De Bruyne's paws aren't like, they aren't just mistakes. Like he's putting them in areas where like the defenders and the keeper, there's nothing they can do about it. Like that's all on him versus like these days, now that he's gone, like Foden's not replacing him. Like Foden's not that guy.
No.
Foden's not replacing him.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I don't know what, like, I'm sure they're gonna go after like Florian Wirtz or something. But they're gonna
I
have
hope
to.
not. I don't want to see him at City.
Yeah, I feel like it would be too obvious. They've been talking about that for like 2 years. I feel like it'd be too
Yeah.
obvious at this point. But they need someone creative because like that system that they're doing, Foden's not the guy, bro. He's not. It's clear this season when De Bruyne has been injured, he hasn't stepped up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how they're gonna replace someone at that level.
Well, I think it kind of goes with the whole downfall of City that they've been going through this season. You know, I see. You know what? Hold on. Let me reset. Pep. From what I recall, he said this was going to be his last season, but then did he sign on for one more, or did
Yeah,
he renew his contract? It was something like that, right? Yeah. So I feel like this season has almost been the proof of like, yo, bro, you should have just left after this. Like, you should not have signed on again. And I think with, like you said, Foden nowhere near De Bruyne, like not at all a replacement. Yeah. Already Pep is like winding down his career at City, whether he wants to or not. That's what's happening. I think it's gonna have to start to be a new project in a year or two. Yeah,
I think especially because I'm sure they'll still be a good team just because they have so much money, and we'll see what happens with the Chargers. But it doesn't seem like
it's gonna be like Liverpool. I feel like where it gets shaky for a bit, and then depending on either a new manager or the success of some new signings, they'll either maybe go the Liverpool route or the Chelsea route.
oh boy. I did not wish that on anyone, but it's been rough. But I feel like City has now developed through having like the Pep era, and even before then, you know, obviously had like the Yaya Torres, company, Aguero, and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think through the Pep era, they've established themselves to where even after Pep leaves, they're probably still going to go out and get like the most promising coach who's out there. I'm guessing. Like I think now it's become like a destination where a lot of coaches probably want to go play or want to go coach, especially now that I think Haaland signed that what was it, like 10-year deal or something? It was something crazy. Yeah. Something crazy he signed.
Killing his career, man. Killing it.
Well, for him, I guess he said he's always been a City fan, which is crazy. But I think his dad
insane cap. That's insane cap.
That's what he said. He said City is always his dream team. So.
They don't exist, bro. Those people are NPCs. Nah.
Hilarious.
And if that is the case, it's a shame to me because I viewed him as someone who could almost be like Ronaldo or hopefully Mbappe, what I see Mbappe being, which is a player who spends a couple years in one league, moves on to the next, dominates there, moves on to the next. But I feel like I don't want to say he's complacent at City because it's not like he's just sitting there not doing anything. But I also goals, like he still scores goals, but he's not living up to the Haaland I remember people talking about earlier on, like when he was at Dortmund or when he first signed with City. Like there was so much more hype there, and I feel like now he's kind of just there, like doing his thing, almost like a Harry Kane at Tottenham, where like he's good, but like it's not leaving the most insane mark.
Not
like Harry Kane. Yeah, like not people were hyping up Harry Kane like crazy. I always thought he was overhyped. Like still a very good striker, but I mean look at him now. Like he's at Bayern, and his first season there they couldn't even win the league. So that's why I feel like when you're young and when you have that talent and that potential, you know, you got to try the different leagues and really show you got it. I feel like that's the real indicator. You can still be a one league legend, but for me and just my personal appreciation, I appreciate when they can go around Europe and really showcase that it doesn't matter where they are. They're going to cook them.
That's interesting. I can appreciate that. I feel like you may be in the minority with that. I feel like
I very well could be. I
think most people agree with you until it comes to the Prem or La Liga. I feel like those are the two leagues. Well, I shouldn't say La Liga. Specifically playing for Madrid or Barcelona. I feel like those are the two, those are the two scenarios, or three scenarios, I should say, where like people say, okay, that's your final destination. Like that's the proving ground to actually show like you're a top player, versus playing in like France or playing in Germany or whatever. And now that he's in the Prem, I feel like if he went to like France, even feels crazy to even say it, but even if he went to like Italy, people wouldn't respect it the same way. Even though the Italian league's a great league, but I feel like there's just such a Prem bias that people wouldn't respect it the same way. But saying that, I will say, and this is maybe a whole nother discussion to have, I feel like a lot of the top talent in Europe isn't even in the Prem anymore, which is like, I feel like maybe in the early Messi, not early, I guess early 2010s Messi Ronaldo like peak era, it was kind of like this as well. And then like I feel like a transition into the Prem having a lot of the top players once they started to like fade out.
Yeah,
but I feel like now again, like the fact that La Liga has Mbappe, Vinny, Jude, Pedri, Yamal, like they can go on and on. Like obviously Madrid has like 10
Rodrigo.
Like yeah, literally Rodrigo.
Can't forget about him.
Camavinga, like all these crazy players.
Yeah.
I feel like obviously the Prem still have great players and like it's kind of spread out amongst the teams, but like the top players, I feel like are kind of all congregating in La Liga again, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a top player in the Prem, you got to show you can do it in La Liga.
Yeah, which is crazy to say.
Personally, I also really appreciate when they can go to Serie A and do some stuff there as well.
Yeah, Serie A is underrated.
For me, it's like La Liga is the top. Like if you're in La Liga and you're the best, like you're Lamine Yamal or Vinny or an Mbappe, like at that point it's like, yeah, you know what? Like you don't have to leave. Like you're already at the pinnacle. But I think when you're in any other league, like it's good to maybe get one or two others on your belt.
Yeah, and I guess Haaland, to be fair to him, he already got the some of that, so maybe he does feel settled. Like, okay, I already tested out a bit.
But the Bundesliga, at least back then, from what I remember at the time, it wasn't seen as like as competitive as it is now. I think. I don't know if it's because maybe just more people pay attention now. What do you think?
It's tough. I feel like it's still. I feel like because of that one Leverkusen season, it felt more like, okay, maybe now this could be like an anyone can win it kind of league. But I feel like now it's just going back to the status quo this year. So it's hard to actually say how competitive it actually is. Yeah, that's interesting. But I guess Jude was also there. And no one really was hating on Jude in the same way. We're like, oh, you're in what's it called, the Bundesliga. You got to go prove it somewhere else. And then obviously everyone knew Jude was going to be really good, but I feel like with strikers, that's always more of a thing where it's like, you have to go prove it in a better league.
Like when even just this conversation, I am in my head thinking strikers. Like
yeah. It was fair. Yeah, I think that's generally a thing because like every league plays defense differently. Especially like the Bundesliga is way more transitional, like up and down, which I think actually suits Haaland's game a lot more. But the Prem's a lot more physical. And I know a lot of people said Haaland playing under Pep would be great for him in his early years, and I agree. Obviously, Pep's an amazing coach, but I think actually Pep's system his current system especially doesn't suit Haaland.
And we talked about this since his signing.
It doesn't really suit Haaland the way some others might, especially given that they've been struggling. The fact that I think it was the one game against Chelsea actually where you finally was like, all right, screw it, we're just playing these long balls to Haaland. I was like, that suits him way more given the fact that your team is broken right now. And of course, everyone wants to do that against Chelsea, but in general, I feel like we haven't really seen Haaland unlocked. And obviously, he's such a great striker that he's still. I have to check the score, but I'm pretty sure he's still top of the league in scoring, despite being injured right now. I think he's out for the season, or at least out for a while. So he probably won't end up top scorer, or maybe it's Salah. Maybe it's Salah at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Salah. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But Haaland's probably still what position is he in? Do you know?
He's second at 21,
Okay,
but
of course.
Isak's about to pass him.
Yeah, and speaking of, you got Isak breathing down your neck, who to me he's proven to be the better all-around striker.
Yes.
And Holland's locked down with City, but then we might see someone like Isak go to a Barcelona, and then we're seeing then I think once you go to one of those two teams, you're considered creme de la creme. So I think in the long run, people might end up saying, "Oh, Isak's actually," even if Holland goes on to score 30 goals every season for City and becomes the Premier League all-time top scorer, I think in real time, if Isak's doing it in La Liga for Barcelona specifically, people are going to consider him the better striker, and I think that's just how those things end up going. So I can see part of where you're coming from, where committing to the Prem long term is kind of like, I don't know. I feel like right now
it's not a death sentence, but it's like I'm blanking on the word, but
which is crazy to say though. I don't know what word you're looking for, but because a lot of people consider the Prem to be the best league, and maybe in terms of maybe at a point in time it was, but now the bottom of the Prem is terrible. It's so bad,
awful.
Sure, we have a top 4 race this year, but the title's been decided for months. The relegation's been decided for months, and the middle's kind of just working itself out. We have a top 4 race, but it's not really that exciting. It doesn't seem like any of these teams are really trying that hard. This year, the Prem has honestly not been the best product. So I don't know. I don't know where this goes. This is a completely different discussion from the De Bruyne discussion, but I think it kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like De Bruyne was a key member of the Prem being the best league in the world for this kind of late 2010s, early 2020s period, and also it having the best talent in the world, because he was one of those players. He could have played for Madrid or Barcelona for sure. He's of that level, but in that period of time, the Prem had all those top players. It felt like, so I don't know. I don't know where this goes from here, but I think just to, I guess, kind of wrap it up.
It could go to Miami. That is the latest.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. There have been rumors that he would be going to Saudi, but supposedly he is more keen on a move to MLS and to Miami. And it turns out, as of 3 hours ago, on Monday, April 7th, at night, 10 p.m., 10:30. Apparently, Miami has the discovery rights, which I had no clue what those were. I've heard of them before. And after reading the definition, I think that's a stupid concept. Essentially, it means Miami has the exclusive right within the league to try and sign De Bruyne. So,
what?
Seattle couldn't try to sign him, or the New England Revolution couldn't try to, only Miami can try to sign him, which that might have to be one of the stupidest types of rights I've ever heard of.
That's crazy.
Sports. That makes no sense.
How does that even get set up? That's between Miami and De Bruyne specifically, or Miami and City, or what? I don't even. Maybe you don't know.
So
I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm reading right now from MLS's website. Pursuant to the discovery process, clubs may scout and sign players who are not yet under contract to MLS and who are not subject to another assignment mechanism. To sign a player through the discovery process, the club must first place the player on its discovery list. And they can have up to five players on their list at any time, and remove or add players to that list. So that means, I guess, they can write down 5 different people. Let's say Holland was also on a free contract. They could write him down and no other MLS team could try to sign him.
Basically, it's an official way of calling dibs.
Pre-order, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy concept. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, it looks like maybe he'll be going into Miami.
There is no limit to how many players a club can sign from its discovery list. So they could use up, theoretically, all five slots on the top free players who are, 33 and over, looking to move leagues to something a bit more calm. And they could just get all of them if they wanted, if they had the money.
Okay, now I see how Inter Miami is so stacked, bro.
That it
That's
makes a
crazy.
lot more sense, and also the whole David Beckham thing of he probably knows a lot of these players
Yeah.
personally. It's like they got a little bit of a monopoly going on.
Yeah, this is some suspect activity. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm sure it's all within the lines, but it's just I don't know how any other team competes with that kind of pull.
And if De Bruyne goes there, dude, like this Miami team, like it's already entertaining seeing the clips, but it's like it's almost gonna be embarrassing for the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sorry, but MLS is just awful. Like it's terrible, dude. It feels amateur. I remember seeing a New York City FC game like 2 or 3 years ago, and I kid you not, it was a sunny day. It was like a summer day, something like that. And the players slipped on the pitch like 4 different times and just fell flat on their face for no reason. Not doing any crazy moves, not getting confused by a striker or a forward or a midfielder doing some trick on them. No, they literally were just like dribbling and slipped. Like, how does that happen at a pro level? So if we got a Miami team, which is already going crazy with a De Bruyne and his creativity, I mean, it's going to be a joke. And how can we grow our own talent in the U.S. if, they get embarrassed week to week?
Yeah, honestly, that itself is a whole own discussion too. I'm missing if there's any American player on that team. Hey man, just pad your stats. Just get on that team and pad your stats, bro. And maybe you can get to the national team or something. Hey man, if the next time Inter Miami, well, if he actually signs there, next time they're playing New York City FC or the Red Bulls, I'm gonna have to go to a game, man. See De Bruyne in person. That's what I'll take.
Good luck, dude. Don't they sell the tickets for like a crazy fee?
Yeah, I
or
remember
resell the tickets rather.
When Messi first came, I remember looking like I was looking at like
$1,000.
New York City FC tickets, and all of them were so cheap, for like $20 or something. And then the Messi game was just like it was like hundreds of dollars. I was like, what the heck, bro? But no, it's been a few years now, so maybe I don't know. Hopefully, it kind of calm down a bit, but I doubt it. So we'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, there we go. That's our De Bruyne discussion. Farewell to the legend. I know, city hater here, but even you can appreciate the legend, and we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see where it ends up going. If it goes to the MLS or Saudi, we will not be covering that again because we don't care. But good job for your career. And then, well, hit the last segment of the day. Okay, so here's a new segment we're trying out on the podcast. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully this become a running thing we do at the end of every podcast or every other podcast, or when we maybe have a lack of topics. But let us know in the comments if you like it, you don't like it. It's called Guess the Athlete. And basically, just to break it down real quick, each of us has an athlete in mind that we want the others to guess. And we're going to have 1 minute to ask yes or no questions. And at the end of that minute, we have to give a final guess, basically, of who we think this athlete is. That's basically it. It's pretty simple. And we're just going to see how well we know these athletes and who's going to get it right. So do you have someone in mind, Eric? You want to go first?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll do a timer on my end. And
and just let me know.
Cool. So I have the timer set. I have my player in mind. And let's start in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Okay. Is this a man?
Yes.
Okay. Basketball.
No.
Soccer.
Yes.
Okay. Are they still currently playing?
Yes.
Are they over the age of 30?
Yes.
Over the age of 35?
Yes.
Are they playing in Europe?
No.
Are they playing in the MLS?
No.
Are they playing in Saudi Arabia?
No.
Are they playing in South America?
No.
Ooh, okay. That's a lot of the
You know
big
this guy, though.
names.
Guarantee you.
I know this person. Okay, are they playing in Mexico?
Yes.
Mexico. Oh my god.
Time.
And I know them. And they're playing in Mexico. I don't know who went to the Mexican League. Oh, this is a tough one. Interesting. Over 35. I want to guess. I don't know if he's still playing. I wonder if he's still playing. Damn, I wish I had like another question. This is actually tough. Who's playing in
You were gonna
Mexico?
go accolades, man. I thought you were gonna go full on accolades.
I should have. I got too focused on the region. But I think it's good though, because if I would never have guessed someone in the Mexican League if I didn't find out that they're in the Mexican League. But I don't even know any players.
But that's the thing, though. You know this guy, though. I guarantee you know this guy.
Okay. He's over 35?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna have to guess.
You want me to give you a hint or no?
Okay, sure.
I'll say this. He's won 4 Champions Leagues.
4 Champions Leagues? And he's in the Mexican League. I have to assume I don't know any Mexicans that won the Champions League 4 times. That's crazy. I'm just assuming it's a Mexican, but maybe it's not. Okay, I'm just gonna have to go with who's in the Mexican League. But now, anyone I would have guessed didn't win 4 Champions Leagues. Okay, let me just guess someone who won 4 Champions Leagues. Best chance, if you're over 35, they probably play for Madrid. Madrid wins so many. Not Casemiro, not Modric, not Ronaldo. Bale's retired. Benzema's in Saudi. Who from that team? Where's Sergio Ramos right now? I'm gonna get Sergio Ramos.
Yo, yes.
Is it actually?
Yes, bro. He's on. That's so sick. He's on Monterrey, bro, and he's on an insane contract. His parameters are insane, where he has choice over which games he can play and which ones he can't.
What?
Yes. He's
That's
the
a
captain.
crazy.
It's wild, man. It's wild. The Mexican League is down bad, but that's the conversation for another day. But I'm impressed, bro. As soon as you said Real Madrid, I was like, yo, he might get it.
To be fair, I only take half a win on that one because you did give me an extra hint. It's our first time running it, but yeah, once you said 4 Champions Leagues, and it's like over 35. Only so many teams have even won so many Champions Leagues. So I was like, okay, it has to be someone from Madrid. So I guess it was process elimination, but I didn't know he was still playing. Like, I knew he left Madrid and played a little bit in some other teams, but I didn't know he went to Mexico. That's interesting. I guess it makes sense. He speaks Spanish. It probably was an easier transition. But that's fascinating. Okay, interesting. He can play any game he wants. That's actually a crazy concept.
He literally has choice over what games he can and cannot play.
See, if you can do that, then you can't also be the captain. I feel like that's like contradictory. But I guess they just want the name value for the league. So that makes sense. Okay. That was fun. So you ready? I got something for you too.
Cool, man. All right. Ready
You
whenever you are.
Okay, I'm gonna count you down. We start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Active player.
No.
Basketball.
Yes.
Western Conference.
No.
Okay. Is he in the Atlantic Division? Eastern Conference, Atlantic Division.
God damn. Things these divisions never mean anything to me. Who's in the Atlantic Division?
Northeast.
No, Northeast. No.
Hall of Famer.
Yes. I don't know if he officially is, but he will be. So I'll give you that. Yeah, he is.
Eastern Conference, not Northeast. Okay. He played college basketball.
Yes. I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Duke.
No.
So okay. Point guard.
No.
Shooting guard.
Yes.
Shooting guard, Hall of Famer, Eastern Conference. Miami Heat?
Yes.
Okay. Does he have children?
Yes.
All right. All right. I think we can wrap it up right here.
You ready for your final guess?
Oh, yeah. It's Dwayne Wade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I tried to make it, someone I would like,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting.
That was good. That was good.
It's tough once you go former player, it's kind of tough to. I feel like it's easier to narrow down a current player, but I feel like former player it's tougher because you can go anywhere with it, like any generation, whatever. But no, you actually sniped that.
Yeah. You said, when I saw like Eastern Conference Hall of Famer, my mind went to Melo.
Oh, because he just went. Yeah. He literally just went in. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, what I was thinking about. But listen, that's cool. That's cool. Cool, man.
There we go. Well, that's Guess the Athlete. That's that segment. Let us know if you liked it. You didn't like it, whatever. We're probably gonna do it again, just because it's something new to do. I had fun with it. So hopefully we can keep it going. It'll be good to get that out in shorts and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a great episode. You have anything else you want to add in?
Nah, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. See ya. We're keeping it going. Adios.
Yes, sir. Peace out, y'all. Take care.